You're told every single day you're going to get. I always look at this as if there's going to be a standard of living, then it should be across the board. Everyone should have a right to the same standard of living. The only reason there's crime is because there's poverty. Poverty breeds crime. It's common sense. It doesn't defy any form of...
In every aspect?
Pardon?
In every aspect of
well, when I looked at the history of the police, what I did is I looked deeply into how the police came about, because I wanted to know. And I discovered a lot of very, very interesting information about the police that they don't kind of put on their history, for whatever reason. I don't know why, but they don't tell you they came from something called thief takers.
That's true. Yeah.
Right, well they don't tell you that. They don't tell you what thief takers were. They don't tell you about one of the most famous ones, Charles Hitchens, who bought himself the position of Under Sheriff of London. He bought the position for 700 quid. Now, in his position, he would get £100 a year salary, which if you're going to be a rich man, he's not going to make it that way, but he also received all the fines. So, in essence, the only way he could become rich was to increase the amount of fines, which he did, and increase the amount of things you could be fined for, which in our day and age are PCNs. So PCNs, I can show you PCNs that existed in 1200, exactly the same process, it's just they weren't pieces of paper then. But it's exactly the same. And Charles Hitchens, what they were doing, they were running groups of gangs of thieves, and the thief taker would collect someone's stolen property and sell it back to them. That's what a thief taker did. But if he was right, it was the Fagin story. Charles Dickens was telling all this in the Fagin story. That's who we were. They were thief takers. Well, he got found out because he was bragging their arrogance is unsurpassed, and he got found out about it. And anyway, the alderman of the City of London suspended him on full pay. But if you've bought a position, you have to receive what you're going to get from that position. So he instructed a friend of his called Jonathan Wild, who was another runner of gangs, thief taker, and these blokes would actually, to keep things legitimate, would get one of their own gang, hand them into the police, and have them hung at Tyburn. This was just to legitimate what they were doing. This process led all the way through to the Bow Street Runners. It went all the way through till we come to the Peelers. Everyone believes that the Peelers was Robert Peel's first concept or first idea about the police. Absolute rubbish. In 1811, 18 years before, was it 18 years? I always get the numbers wrong here. 1811, 1829, yeah, 18 years before. They set up the Royal Ulster Constabulary to test, because they always test everything away from these shores. If you go to New Zealand, you can drink drinks and eat food that will not be on our shelves for 6 months. Because that's where they test all the food in New Zealand. They test all the commercial products, consumer products in New Zealand. America, they test the law. They test it all in America before it comes in. They always do it away from our shores. They tested this. So they tested the police, they found that it worked. So they introduced the Peelers in the Metropolitan Police Act in 1829. And then they brought in the Counties Police Act, which is where all the rest of the counties. The police were set up for 2 reasons. They were set up to create state control of street life because they realised the revenue stream of it was phenomenal, and to protect the aristocracy from us. That's the only 2 reasons they were set up. And if you talk to chief inspectors and ask them and you get an honest one, they admit it. They will admit it.
But they've evolved now, you know, they're there to protect all of us.
The aristocracy. They are a private political police force, because you're okay unless you do something against the political regime or you say something towards the political regime. They are a private political. There is a tier system that you probably don't even know exists. I'm absolute 100% evidence. I only speak from experience. I don't philosophise about these sort of stuff. I do not. I speak from experience. Anything I talk about is what I've experienced, because it's the only thing I can talk about is my experiences. I recently met a chief inspector. We bought a kitchen off of him, my sister, off of eBay, and I kitchen for my sister. And I went all the way up to Stoke-on-Trent and I met this chief inspector. Lovely, lovely bloke. And I asked him the questions. I said, do you believe that the people of this land live in tyranny? He said, absolutely. And now he's not meant to say that, he's meant to actually say the opposite.
Is he retired or?
No, he's still serving. He's still serving cop. And I says, would you say that the police are nothing more than a private political army? He said, absolutely. Never been anything different. They all know it, they're all tempted. It's the pension. He said, we're bought with the pensions. That's how they get us. It's all about the money. Vested interest, it's the pensions. And that's what they do. And that's exactly, and they're from inspector up, they're all on bonuses, depending on how many PCNs they've done, how many people they've arrested, because it's a business. And businesses are obliged to make money by law. So they have statistics, and they have, I've sat with a copper, and he's told me that he sits next to his mate, like this, and if they want to ask each other a question, they have to send a memo. They're not allowed, because it's not recorded. Yeah. But in that bureaucracy, it's actually got to the point that it's ludicrous.
Everyone's politically correct nowadays.
But why is it? We're in the private right now. There's a big difference between private and public.
Yeah.
When you go outside there, you're in the public, whole different ball game. Now this is private. This is in their world a conspiracy. Two or more people talking is a conspiracy. That's what it is. That's what it's after. That's the definition of the word. So this is a conspiracy. This is in the private as well.
Not only if you're talking about breaking the law.
No, I think it's talking about anything.
Anything.
Under law, yeah.
Anything. Go and read it up.
Two more people.
Two or more people talking about any subject is classed as a conspiracy in law. Go and read it.
Yeah,
Don't take my word. Go and read.
Is that from a legal dictionary? Because I'm sure in an ordinary one it says that you have to be conspiring to break the law.
To damage, it's damaging, but we're talking just...
But
we're talking about the weather or talking about what should we eat for dinner today. That's not a conspiracy.
No.
It's just what we're talking about things
but
that are sensitive.
What they do is, see, we've got 100%... One of the things that we've got absolute evidence of is that they love making things up. The police lie through their teeth every single day. Every day. Even the courts admit that the police lie. The clerks will tell you this. You get a good clerk, you get some... See, people think that we haven't got friends who have friends who are solicitors, who are police, who are judges, even MPs. But I know people who have friends who do these jobs. And they don't lie to their friends. They tell them the truth. We're not... People have got this image that, you know, I mean, we've been given all this information all our lives. We've been in effect programmed. Well, you are from a child. You're programmed. The education system programs. It schools everybody. It's a school. And you can't step outside the school. That's why the curriculum is as it is, because it makes you uniformed. That you will become a cog in the machine to keep the machine working. I talk to nurses. I talk to recently. So, who do you work for?
Now?
Yeah.
The
As a
NHS.
nurse. Do you?
The NHS now.
You work for pharmaceutical companies. That's who your bosses are. Always have been.
Ones? Roche, SmithKline and French, yeah.
Well, they're all the
We
same.
deal with all those.
But they're all one massive unit. They're not. That's just to make it look like there's no monopolisation. It's like Unilever. Unilever make all the soap powders. They just put different labels on it and a different scent in it every now and again. Most of the baked beans are made by the same people. It's just, you just got this image.
Sugar.
Well, yeah, majority of beans is sugar, I agree. It's still nice though. I can't help it, I do like it. Being vegetarian as well.
But there's that image of freedom of choice, isn't there? That there's more choice. But really,
it is,
it's
yeah,
actually...
because but if you actually break the factions down, if you actually look at these, you know, I mean, I was talking to someone and I said, you know, when they told me about doctor surgery, because I won't go to anything, I refuse point blank. I'm sorry, I can't.
Why?
God, yeah.
I don't trust you. I'm sorry.
The GPs, you mean?
Any of you, don't trust you.
I don't trust GPs either.
No.
Going to like where we're looking up people.
No, the thing is, it's like a nurse. I mean, I was talking to a nurse recently, and I can't remember where she works, but she works over near Slough. I was talking to Wrexham, I'm sure, the Wrexham Hospital, I'm sure of it. Anyway, and it happens to be a friend of ours, his girlfriend, and I was talking to her, and she's completely parallel vision, you know, and we're doing one. I said, okay, I said, what's a nurse's job?
To care.
To care. Okay, so in how much are you allotted?